Alright, it is June 3rd, 2019. It looks like the live recording is up and going here. Let me just double check. Alright, so I see this stuff going on the side. I'm going to try to keep this open this time just in case I actually get any comments and things here. So June 3rd, 2019, last Sunday prior to this was the running of the Indy 500, and I was able to go there for the first time, and it's also the first time I was able to actually go there and see a race. So a race in general, the first race I've ever been to. So I'm going to try to go through and recap the Indy weekend, talk about some of the hot spots that I actually got a chance to check out and see, and let you know just what I thought of Indianapolis. If anything gets too crazy outside here, I'll go ahead and close this window and all that, try to get some air in and all that, because it's a beautiful day here in Michigan. Alright, so let's get to it. So, Indianapolis from Michigan, about a 4.5 hour drive. That's what we did and set out on Thursday. And in that sense, stepdad with his cousin, I know Mike very well, got a chance to get antiquated here with Kathy, and I had a really, really good time. So driving there to Michigan, Indianapolis, ended up staying at the Marriott, which was like 2 miles away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it was kind of nice. So you go in there, you get a chance to get settled in, and then get all your stuff moved in and all that, and then you go out Thursday late at night by the time we get there, because we leave about 4:30, get there about 8:30, 9 o'clock. You go in, you get all your stuff settled in, you get a bite to eat, you drive around a couple miles just down, it's right there. You get a chance to check out the speedway and what it's all about, that 2.5 mile track. So it was a nice night. You get a chance to go get some bar food at the Union Jack up there right by the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So if you're around that point, you get a chance to go ahead and check out the Speedway. The Union Jack's right there too. You can go ahead and get some food, because that's probably where you're going to be doing the first night, getting in on Thursday, because you're going to get yourself antiquated with the things you got to do later. So Friday was carburation day, and what that is final prep and tune-ups for the Indy 500. So with the pit passes and things that we ended up having, yeah, there's an Indy Lights race. If you want to go ahead and see some of the rookies and things like that, you can go ahead and see them race while you're at the IMS, which is kind of cool. You can do that. But with these pit passes, you're able to go in and see the garages in the back, and what it actually is the cars that they're going to be using with all the teams in the 500, so you can actually see them, if you're fortunate enough, working on some of these cars at the same time, and getting a chance to take pictures, take videos. And a lot of these guys are cool, because if the garage door is open, then you get a chance to check everything out there and see it live. And as I was doing a little bit of prep, not a lot of prep, because I just want to go ahead and experience it for the first time and see what everything is like, reading about some of this stuff, which I thought was kind of interesting if you weren't too familiar with it. And I'm not a huge racing guy. I don't know a lot about all that stuff, and I don't claim to know a lot about all of it. But between NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, a lot of the other stuff like that, the funding is what's really interesting. I thought about it is a lot of these guys, they don't sit there and they make millions and millions of dollars. If you're not getting sponsorships, you're not going to be able to race. You can't fund to get the car and everything else. So, I mean, unless you're a representative of Team Penske and things like that, you're probably not getting all the funding you need unless you win races. That's where the main source of revenue comes from for a lot of these guys. And a lot of these guys that I get a chance to see, I didn't get a chance to talk to all of them and all, but the ones that you see, you hear on TV, you read about, they're just plain guys. I mean, it's guys and girls that are in there. They're just normal people that love to race and do it at a very high profile. They're just normal people. They're not crazy outfitted with money and this and that. It costs an astronomical amount of money in order to, subsequent having a car, being able to get in and do all of that. But you can't sustain everything unless you're getting sponsorships and winning races. So it kind of puts things into perspective. But it was very cool on that carburation day, on that Friday, as it was a beautiful 85-degree day there, very humid, very hot in Indianapolis in the time, and it was supposed to rain pretty much 100% during the entire weekend. But a lot of the stuff, as I was told before, The rain kind of just blows through. You maybe give it an hour, hour and a half. It kind of runs through, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes late at night. But a lot of times, the people who have been there, they have said that the rain holds through the entire time and you're able to get all the festivities in. So in that carburation day, you get a chance to see some of the cars, see some of the stuff that's actually going to be used at the Indy 500, which was neat. Got a chance also to sit in one of the suites that were in, one of the AJ Foyt suites through my stepdad's work. Get a chance, if you want to go down and eat some food and all that, but I figured it was so incredibly hot outside. I'm not doing that and then yakking all over the place. I'm just going to drink a ton of water and keep myself hydrated. So throughout doing all of that stuff in the day, there wasn't enough time to go ahead and check out the museum that same night. But we decided after Friday, the next day before the race on Sunday, we wanted to go check downtown Indianapolis and hit the museum at the Speedway. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, if you want to go ahead and see some very cool things, and it's only a $10 admission to get in there, so it's pretty worth it, in my opinion. You get to see pretty much every car that's put in there that has won in that race, that participated with the driver that's won in the race. You get to see that. You get to see some history of it. You get a chance to take a picture in one of those cars, actually get in there and sit in. I didn't do that myself because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to get out. I don't know how, unless you're an 85-pound anorexic person, how you end up getting in these cars and strapping yourselves in, because you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that you've seen from some of these older cars. Not only how unsafe some of the stuff is, but just be able to strap yourself in and go 200 miles an hour. So on that Saturday, we went early to go to the museum, and it's a 2.5-mile trek, like I said, at the Speedway. So if you see a lot of people out there on like golf carts and driving people around, it's free admission to be able to do that. It's a long way to go. So thankfully, I was able to get a seat. They pick you up, they take you to where you need to go to, and it's all free of charge there, because I did a lot of walking around the first day on Thursday. And be prepared. It's not just because I have cerebral palsy or anything else like that. I'm very capable of walking around and going long distances and things like that. But when you're doing things like lugging around coolers and other stuff like that, and it's very hot and humid, you are going to be sweating profusely, and you're going to be feeling like you're taking miles and miles of trek around, because that's just how it is. If you want to get around there, you're either walking around or you're fortunate enough to get a ride. But the people are very, very friendly and very, just willing to help you out any chance they can in order to keep your experience as pristine as possible. So very enjoyable in Indianapolis. But like I said, in that Saturday checking out the museum, you get a chance to see all the cars that participated in and winning, with the drivers that are in it, like pictures of that. You see pictures of old transistor radios and equipment that was used for broadcast in terms of the old races and things like that. Just an entire section of history throughout all of it, just between the Allisons and the other owners for Indy and NASCAR. And it's really, really cool to actually get a chance to see all that. And even if you're not the biggest racing fan like I am myself, if I had a chance to tell you what I would like to see more, it would probably be Indy over NASCAR, in the sense that we don't get a chance to watch a lot, but when you get a chance to experience it, it really is something that is breathtaking. And the museum, for $10 in an admission, for the amount of stuff that you can see, for just the amount of people that you're going to see there and the amount of things that you will see, is very, very worth the price. You will not feel slighted at all. So, in that Saturday, after checking out the museum and things like that, we decided to go down to downtown Indianapolis. And right next to Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Indianapolis Colts play, you have IUPUI University, you have a minor league baseball stadium. They got a really nice setup down there. They have like these other heaters and things downtown, so when you're playing like the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament and stuff down there, it's be able to keep a lot of foot traffic, a lot of things out there, and keeping people warm. It's a very nice downtown setup, and it makes me think, not only after just seeing Vegas in March and then going down to Indianapolis just this past weekend, that downtown in Michigan looks a lot different in terms of what you would see in Indy and what you would see in Vegas. I'm not sure if that setup is completely as nice as I would like it to be, but downtown Indianapolis, pretty damn nice for what it is. So get a chance to go down there, like I said, near Lucas Oil Stadium. My stepdad was saying there's some nice restaurants down there. So boy, is there. So if you go down next to Lucas Oil Stadium, you will find Harry and Izzy's, and you will find St. Elmo's. And Harry and Izzy's and St. Elmo's is the same thing as far as the food is concerned, but St. Elmo's is like a 1930s prohibition alcohol style bar. You know, that's where the gangsters and everything used to be. But I will get to that in a second. So right outside, as we get downtown, it starts to pouring rain. Go inside to get something to eat. Go to Harry and Izzy's. So it's one of those places you don't have to get entirely dressed up. You don't need to wear a tux or anything like that. But you are going to be getting some very, very, very high quality food. So between the three of us, I would think it's like $165. That's with an app, a dessert, and you know 3 dinners, things like that. So it's very fairly priced considering for the food that you get. Let me tell you. So going down there, like I said, it's the same food. So the appetizer, go ahead and order. It is the St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail at Harry and Izzy's. You take a bite of that, and I can't lie to you about this, and you might not believe me because you might not ever experience something like this before. But I take a bite of the shrimp cocktail, load the sauce up on there because I was a little naive. Nobody said anything at the very beginning of all this, so I'm sitting there loading it up, pop it in, and I feel a sensation that just like blows out through the back of my brain, like a gunshot. Just and it was an overwhelming sensation of spice for an instantaneously. That's all it really was. It was just for a couple seconds, but the eyes started to water like I was sucking on a lemon. They shut like this, and it was just an explosion in the back of the brain. And then I said, damn, that's really good. And what we ended up finding out was it is, I think, the hottest horseradish you can buy with a mix of a couple other things in there as far as looking that stuff up online. You can't taste it. It tastes like a really bomb-ass cocktail sauce right on that shrimp cocktail, but it's just one of the hottest things, and it's instantaneous. And it was absolutely incredible like that because I've never experienced anything like that. So I'm going ahead and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to order. So I see like a salmon and russet potatoes. So I was like, all right, I'm in on this. So I know they have Coke products and things like that. So I go to the lady because she asked me what you want to drink. I said, can I get a cherry Coke? And it was like, well, I'll make one for you. So I don't know what extract or whatever else they ended up using. It's not something that you're going to go ahead and get from a can. So I'll make this for you. So I go ahead and I get the salmon. I bite into it. That's absolutely immaculate. I don't know what else to say. And the russet potatoes is like a cheese mashed potato mix. It was absolute fire, as the kids say. And the cherry Coke was spectacular. Because I don't know whatever extract they ended up using in it, but it was quite good. So at the end of it, pretty much you have the appetizer, you have the food. I'm thinking, I probably can't eat anymore. Everything is so immaculate, I'm good. And so it's like, all right, you have to get a dessert because this food's so good. So I was like, all right, so we'll do something safe because I know you can get a pudding or a brownie sundae or something like that. So it's like, all right, we'll get the brownie sundae. And like everything, obviously made in house. Fish and everything use that same day. If they don't use it, they toss it out. So I think I had like some whipped cream, brownies, and things like that. Some stuff that's standard. When you bite into it, you realize, oh, there's ice cream in this. Oh, there's chocolate sauce on this and the inside. I don't know what else to tell you than if you're downtown in Indianapolis and you're already going ahead and going to see the Indy 500, because it's probably what you'll be doing going down in that weekend just before Memorial Day, go to Harry and Izzy's and go to St. Elmo's and get some food now, because it's some of the best food you've ever tasted. And to be honest with you, to put it in perspective, because I know my stepdad's kind of been all over the world in terms of places and things that he's been, going on trips and stuff like that constantly. It's not to sit there and brag. He's good at what he does for his job and all of that. But he told me specifically that this place, Harry and Izzy's in St. Elmo's, was in his top 5. So I knew what to expect, that it was going to be good. But I didn't expect I would have one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. And I talked about some of that stuff in Vegas as well, about how good the food is and some of the stuff like that. Because, you know, when you go to those nice places, you're going to expect things like that. But I can tell you, Harry and Izzy's in St. Elmo's is where it's at. So let me talk about real quickly St. Elmo's and the Prohibition style stuff set up before we get into Indy itself. So going in there, he said, you got to go in here and check this out. So we go in there, we ask if we can go upstairs, and it's usually incredibly packed, which it was, but the people were nice enough to let you go in there. So it is. It's a Prohibition style hangout. You see pictures. I have some of that stuff on the timeline of you know, the gangsters and the ladies that partied and everything upstairs. The scantily clad, they're not really scantily clad, but they're just beautiful, beautiful ladies that are up there. They're only allowed to work upstairs. So you're not going to see them downstairs, and they're specifically designed to, you know, give you some apps, some food, and some drinks, and just have a nice, calming, relaxing atmosphere. But if you go in there, and especially you go into the bathroom, I see some of the pictures that are in there, and it says, like, we want alcohol and prohibition and stuff like that. There's some pretty cool pictures in there. And sure shit, you will find some of the trap doors and things like that if you look hard enough. You will find there were some things that went on up there. It's not just for show. It's very cool to see that you could be a part of this history when you go in there. And not only, because I don't really drink a lot, but it's like, oh, you have to have a drink. And I don't really drink at all. So the lady was asking me what I wanted. I was like, you know, I'm not really sure. She's like, well, you know, vodka goes down nice. So I was like, all right. It surprised me, I guess. So I had like some vodka, some orange juice, some limes or something like that. They mixed some of that stuff together, and it was pretty damn good. I don't think there was a lot of alcohol on it, because the one thing I had in Vegas, I think it was vodka and something like that. There was a lot more of that in there. Very, very good, though, and I really enjoyed my time that was in there. So if you get a chance to hit up Harry and Izzy's in St. Elmo's, you know, get a bite at Harry and Izzy's, go to St. Elmo's for a drink, relax, have a good time up there, and see what it's all about. Because you will be witnessing some history, and it was a lot of fun down there. And before the race, if you wanted to, just like Vegas, if you wanted to go down there and have a little entertainment and some spectacles before the race, you can definitely do that down there, because downtown is quite nice. So I would recommend, if you get a chance to hit downtown Indianapolis before the Indy 500, if you go down there, have a good time, enjoy yourself. It's a nice setup, and I really enjoyed my time there. The people are incredibly friendly, very accommodating for the things that anyone would need, and it's just a good time. There's good, friendly people down there. So Sunday morning, we got to make it a quick appointment to go ahead and get to the racetrack, probably about 9 in the morning. So make sure, again, that you're dressed appropriately as far as keeping yourself cool, because you're probably hitting 85, 90, especially on the time before Memorial Weekend. And if you're going to be doing a lot of walking around to keep yourselves hydrated, yes, you can drink and do whatever things you need to do, but keep yourself hydrated and keep yourself attuned and abreast of the situation. You don't want to go in there tired. There's millions and millions of people. And just go have a good time and get yourself a nice rest the night before and get yourself prepared for the spectacle that is the Indy 500. So we're getting there. We're just 2 miles, again, from the hotel to the racetrack. We go in there. We see some of these cops before there. They're moving all these buses and shuttles in there. And there's one guy, I believe, that cut off one of the cops. And he goes, I suggest you move your vehicle now. they were going to run this guy right off the road. So they don't play games down there. There's a lot of cops. There's a lot of security. But everything else is meant to keep you safe. And it's meant to keep everything in order. And all these guys are pretty cool down there. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of walking. So what you want to do, especially through Carburation Day and that Saturday, is maybe plan what gate you're going to hit and where you need to walk to so you can get to where you need to go. Otherwise, you're going to be looping around that 2.5 mile racetrack, and it's not going to be much fun if you're not sure where you're going. So we did get seats by where the pit crew kind of was. We were able to move up a little bit because there wasn't a lot of the ones at the bottom, because you say, oh, you can't see anything because of the guardrails and all that. Believe me, you need it, because there was a lot of accidents and things that go on, not only at this racetrack, but pretty much all the other ones. You want all the protection that you can get. We're able to move up a couple of rows there. You see some of the stuff at the pit stops, and that's incredibly cool to be able to see them, change oil, gas, tires, things like that, and then speed off and do it within between 6 and 7, 8 seconds. Absolutely incredible like that. But being the day before Memorial Day, it's a wonderful tradition in Indianapolis at the 500 to make it the most patriotic event that you've ever seen in your entire life. And let me tell you, it's absolutely breathtaking, as I had watched one of these things a couple days after when I got home that qualified with the woman race car driver that was in there. I forget what the hell her name was now. But she was in there now, and I was watching that, and one of the announcers was one of the people that were saying about it said if you didn't get caught up in that spectacle, you're probably brain dead. And because it choked me up a couple of times already. And as I mentioned, a couple of the things on the timeline, you would see some of the flyovers, some of the M16s. You would see like 40, 50, 60 troops that are getting shipped out next week, walking around across the racetrack, getting a salute from all the fans. Plenty of different people to sing God Bless America at Star Spangled Banner. You get Lee Greenwood. You get all that stuff. Everything that brings you in and gets you choked up and makes you feel proud to be an American. And I know some of you out there, and I'm not trying to put this in the wrong perspective or say this the wrong way, because some of you will take this the wrong way. I didn't take it the wrong way. But some of you might think that this stuff is too overblown. But until you're there, until you see it, it really transcends what it means to be an American, what it means to feel patriotic, and exactly why people are over there doing what they're doing to keep us all safe and to make us feel comfortable. It is one of the most important events I think I've ever witnessed as far as patriotism in my entire life. It is the most important event I've ever seen, and I highly implore you, for that reason, before even seeing the race at all, it is one of the most breathtaking moments you'll ever see. You will get choked up and you will realize and you'll feel something in your heart, even if you feel like the Grinch. You will feel something in your heart and you'll say, damn, that's what it means to be an American. And it feels quite nice. So, and that's about, let me tell you, like 45 minutes of stuff, but it never once to me felt overblown. And it felt absolutely necessary, and it was breathtaking, and I absolutely enjoyed it. So the race itself, got to talk about this. So within the first 35 laps, 30 laps, there was not a single accident. There was just a little dust up with a gas tank or something like that that blew for one of these guys. One of the cleanest races within the first 30 laps. There was only that one red that I posted within the last 20, which got everybody a shootout to get a chance to get a green flag, see them go side by side, and witness the greatest spectacle in racing. But to see these guys go 200 miles an hour, be able to issue a pass, which, well, I'm going to be honest with you, you're not really going to see all of those because it feels like blurs over and over again. You just hear loud sound effects like rockets strapped to the back of these cars and lots of blurs. But when you take it all in and you see it, you say, damn, how do these guys do this? And girls, by the way, because Pippa Mann was also in the field. How do they do this? How do they go at this amount of speed, initiate a pass, not crash, do everything at a high level? It makes me realize how unbelievably skilled these drivers are. That's not something you can go ahead and witness when you see it on TV. But when you see it live and you take it all in and you say, damn, these guys are really, really good. And as I mentioned, you won't get a chance to check all of that stuff out at the same time. It depends on what turn you're at, where your seats are. You'll get a chance to see them go, lap to lap. Some of you may get bored as you hit, the middle of those 250 laps and the Indy 500, so you got 2.5 miles, 250 laps. You can go ahead and walk around and do some other stuff and get a bite to eat, but good luck getting back in. So I'm sitting there strapped to the seat, I'm looking stuff over, making sure, the coolers and everything else are all there, because you're allowed to bring in coolers, you're allowed to drink beer, do whatever you need to do. But I'm making sure all my stuff is there, so I'm just getting baked by the sun. But I didn't mind it. The nose is still a little bit red here, but it's kind of finally starting to peel and getting everything all set up. I'm getting back to normal here because I did get burned a little bit. Some of you might want to leave your seat. Some of you might not want to leave your seat. And I came into this, as I said, not really a racing fan. If I had to pick between Indy and NASCAR, I would definitely take Indy, even though NASCAR is easier to see because they're going a little bit slower, going 170, 160 instead of about 200. But it's incredible when you get a chance to see all of that stuff live. And to see these guys in the pits, like I said, being able to change tires, oils, gas, and things like that, and do it between 6 to 8 seconds. If you're taking too long, because you only get 5 pit stops, you're taking too long, that can be something that absolutely costs you the race. So everything comes down to split-second timing, half a second, millisecond timing. You have to be on your P's and Q's, or you're not going to be able to win a race. And it's just cool to see. And like I mentioned, all of these guys, everyone that participates in the field, they're all just regular people like you and me. They just happen to be very highly skilled in driving a rocket-fueled race car. So that's what I wanted to mention about Indy as far as the race. Getting in and getting out, you might want to go ahead and drive around a little bit. You might find a subdivision and say, oh, $20 for parking here. Your car will be safe here. Make sure you know where your car is. Make sure you take a picture on your camera phone, iPhone, whatever you got, Android. Make sure you got that. You know what street it is, where your car is at. So just in case you get a little too messed up, and I'm just throwing that out there, not me, but just in case, you know exactly where your car is, where everything is going to be. And you might want to take a little time and let everyone else get out first. Take about 25 minutes before you go ahead and take that trek back out, but that's up to you whether you want to do that. Just make a mental note. And also, when you're leaving the speedway, because it wasn't like this before, my stepdad went like 25, 30 years ago, make sure that you know you're not going to be able to get anywhere for a while. So maybe after you get out of the speedway, it might be a good time, if you can, a little bit further down, to go ahead and get something to eat, because if you're going back toward Ohio, Michigan, wherever you're from, all the roads between the first 3, 4, 5 hours are going to be blocked off. So you can't be taking right-hand turns to get back onto the expressway and things like that. You're going to be trapped for a little bit. All these cops in Indy seem to be blocking off all of these roads and stuff like that. I was not aware that it was going to be that difficult just to get 2 miles back to go ahead and get back to the hotel and rest up and take a shower after a long day and things like that. But it took us, I think, 1 hour and 45 minutes to go 2 miles to get back to the hotel. So be very, very mindful after race day in terms of what you're doing, and try not to get too frustrated, because the roads are going to be blocked off and it's going to be hard to get anywhere. So wear plenty of sunscreen, keep yourself in comfortable fitting clothes, and have a great time, and bring a little extra money with you just in case you want to have a little bit of fun in downtown Indy. Because like I said, you got to go to Harry and Izzy's, you got to go to St. Elmo's, have some food at Harry and Izzy's, have some drinks at St. Elmo's, have a good time. Absolutely go downtown Saturday, Sunday before the race, because that's going to be some of the best food you ever ate and some of the best drink you've ever had. So with that being said, and that was the Indy trip, and if there is some other stuff in here, if I see some other comments, I will talk about some of that as it goes across. But I wanted to make a quick mention of the NBA Finals and what I've seen so far, and then I do want to make a mention that I'm going to be making a MLB video. I know I said this last time through the Vegas recap, but I will be making a Major League Baseball. The show, was this 19? video with Bryce Harper on the cover, MLB The Show 19. I will be making some of that stuff with the Affinity, so that's going to be posted a little bit later today. I know that that could be a little bit late for some of you because it's a couple months in, but now that my team has finally got set up, I want to give you some of the pointers just in case you're starting for the first time or if you're interested, try to let you know where to start. But with the NBA Finals, I know you got a lot of days in between as far as Game 1 to Game 7. And you have the Golden State Warriors once again, and if it wasn't for a Kawhi Leonard miracle shot against the Philadelphia 76ers, you might not be seeing the Toronto Raptors in the finals, but it is 1-1 after 2 games. And my takeaway is not only is Kawhi Leonard, I know he's a little bit banged up now with the knee, but not only is he a superstar, not only is Toronto trying to do their best to keep him as far as housing, free food, cars, all that stuff. Toronto's a nice place to go ahead and live, so if he wants to be a little bit low-key and have that laugh, Kawhi Leonard can be doing all that stuff to the bank if he wants to do that in Toronto and have a good time doing it, unless he wants to hustle and bustle of the LA Clippers probably first before the Lakers, because let's face it, the Clippers got a little bit more to work with. But be that as it may, with 1-1 and Kawhi being a little bit banged up, within the first couple, especially Marc Gasol, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, all of those guys, Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam, stepped up a little bit to make sure that they got through that 2-0 deficit against the Bucks and then take 1 out of 2 right now against Golden State as they're going back home to the Bay in the last season at Oracle. But what I wanted to mention is the injuries here. Whether it's Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Iguodala, Kevin Durant. You got Kawhi Leonard on the other side. Kyle Lowry's a little banged up. I know some of you might not agree with this, but it might be time, because even with Kawhi Leonard's 25-game load management or whatever it was called, him just playing 8 games last year or whatever it was because coming off the injury for the Spurs and all of that, it might be time now to contemplate having a 65 or 70 game season. And I know that's not popular for a lot of you, and I know a lot of you are going to say, why the hell would you want to do that? The NBA is not going to want to do that because you're going to be losing money. But what I also don't want to see is not only is these NBA Finals taking too long, that's how all this stuff is, because days after days after days, because they want to make sure these guys are healthy and able to play, but a lot of the guys are hurt going into Game 3. I know that there is some intrigue having to be 1-1, but which of these bodies, which of these mass unit teams are going to be able to go out and get this trophy? Now, initially when I talked about it, I said Golden State in 7, because when I thought about Toronto being able to give it a series, with Kawhi playing like Michael Jordan before the injury, with Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam, and Marc Gasol being able to move their feet and trap Steph Curry, trap Klay Thompson, stop these guys from getting some of these open threes, and having Draymond Green go back to earth a little bit after kind of powering through the Portland Trailblazers, who quite honestly, as much as I like that team, didn't have a chance. We need to see some of these guys on the floor to be able to actually play in this NBA Finals. So it might be something and finally time to consider. I don't know how Adam Silver is going to be doing this, but I know within this last year and a half he talked about having some of this international, some FIBA-style basketball tournaments, but not only would that put more mileage and tread on these guys' legs, you also having them playing through the Olympics, having them playing some of the stuff in the summer. I get it. I know it's their job and they make a lot of money and they get paid a ton of money to do it, but a lot of the fans want to see the best players get on the floor and play in the most high-profile games. And right now in the NBA Finals, you might not see it. Do I think Kevin Durant might play a game in this series? He may. But within the last, I think, 4 years, Kevin Durant's had, some MCL sprains, some knee injuries, stuff like this with his calf. You've had some high-profile players go down, and you might not see them again unless they're in a new uniform. And if I'm Kevin Durant, I'll think about this right now. I know Colin Cowherd has talked about it, and I'm sure some of you guys have mentioned it. Kevin Durant's going to be in his 30s here, in his like 10th, 11th season now in the league. And does he really want to go to the New York Knicks with Kyrie Irving and be a guy that plays over 42, 43 minutes a night to have to play all the time in order to go ahead and get his team to even get a W? I'm not quite sure. It might be time for him to just sit back and think, who really gives a crap about legacy? I got my titles. It's fun to win. I'm pretty much going down right now as a top 10 player in the NBA if I retired right now at this point, if you're taking out bigs. And that might even be too hard to say. It might be a little bit less than top 10 because the guy really is that good. And Kawhi Leonard, does he want to stay pretty much with the same roster that he's going to have next year? Or will he go to the Clippers and he's going to have to sit there and carry, although they might have enough money to get maybe like a Kemba or something like that. Not a superstar, but something like that to go ahead and try to get some of these points in. But it's something to think about now. And again, I get it. These guys get paid a lot of money to play basketball. Obviously, they get a lot of money to play a child's game. But be that as it may, these are the guys that were skilled enough to get paid and do all that. So I don't discredit anything that they're doing. All I'm saying is I want to see the best players on the floor, and we might not get that in the NBA Finals. Though I am intrigued to see whether or not the first-time Toronto Raptors in the Finals can do something in order to raise the trophy, because I think that they might still be able to do it with the size advantage that they have, especially, and everybody talks about Kevin Durant and his injuries, but especially if Klay Thompson doesn't play anymore in this series, and that injury is a little more serious than we think it might be, and with the added depth of Andre Iguodala, I know he's getting a little bit long in the tooth, but the guy's still on the team for a reason, and he's still starting all that to be able to get this stuff done and step it up in playoff time. But if you got Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins played all right, but Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Andre Iguodala, and some of that stuff and those injuries, you might be having a hard time selling fans and getting excited on the things they have to do, especially in the NBA Finals. But we'll see what happens. And for the Stanley Cup Finals, certainly got a series between the Bruins and Blues, even though the Bruins absolutely waxed the St. Louis Blues in the last game. It's been pretty damn competitive except for Game 3 because the Blues honestly should have won Game 1. I thought maybe I was going back and forth. I said 7 games on this one as well. I think the Bruins were the better team. Bruins in 7 and Warriors in 7. But I think the Stanley Cup playoffs have a much better chance to go 7 right now. Because right now, at this point, as I had said, Warriors in 7 for basketball, we're just not sure who's going to be on the floor. This is John Ott signing off for this Indy recap video, some baseball news, and some NBA Finals, NHL stuff going on. Just shortly, probably within a few hours, I got to get this stuff set up here. You will see an Affinity video for MLB 19, the show, and I'll let you know just what it's all about, and maybe some of the players that you can go ahead and get in your lineup, even if you're a first-time player and it's a little bit late, going a couple months after release. Not to fret. I'll get you antiquated with some of that stuff, and I'll give you some of my thoughts and opinions. Have a good night, everybody. We will talk to you shortly. Peace out.